From rare baseball cards to unique portraits and dozens of signed balls, Joe Calero says there's only been one secret to amassing such an impressive memorabilia collection.
I had a very forgiving wife who allowed me to pursue this, as you see.
That pursuit can be traced back 65 years when Joe, then in the Air Force, was stationed in a still segregated part of the South, Biloxi, Mississippi.
The base commander asked me to prepare a lesson plan to deliver to incoming individuals that were coming onto the base to kind of cover the things they should and shouldn't do so they wouldn't get in trouble.
The military was integrated, but there were still separate water fountains and entrances for black people. It was a culture shock for Joe, who grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, so he couldn't imagine what it would be like for his black peers, especially those who hailed from more diverse parts of the country.
So I wrote to the Dodgers, to Buzzy Bavasi, and asked him to give me the address of Jackie Robinson and his wife, because who coped more with the pangs of the prejudice than they? He wrote back and said he couldn't give me the address, but if I would send a letter to them, he would forward it to Jackie Robinson.
Joe didn't hear back, but it sparked an interest in the Negro Leagues, where Robinson had starred before he set foot in Major League Baseball. The league formed in 1920, providing a platform for black ball players to put their talents on display. In its infant days, games were played in sandlots, but the quality of play quickly caught the eye of fans.
And the place is packed, etc. And everybody's saying, what's going on here? You know, I mean, and then some white folks start to watch them and they say, hey, this is great baseball. You have to come and see these guys play.
It wasn't long until first-rate venues like Yankee Stadium and Comiskey Park opened their gates. The league proved to be revolutionary, playing baseball's first night game under floodlights.
Comiskey decides all of a sudden, hey, that's a good idea. You know, working people work all day, they can't come to the ball game, but if you play it at night, you get a whole new audience.
The league put a spotlight on some of the larger-than-life personalities, like pitcher Satchel Paige, a consummate showman known for his dominant fastball and slapstick humor. Legend has it, Paige drove as quickly as he threw, and while driving through one town, Paige is pulled over. The officer quickly recognized him.
I heard you were coming to town. He says, yeah. He said, Mr. Paige, you can't travel that fast. He said, well, what's the fine? He says, well, it would be $25. According to the story, Satchel reached in his billfold, handed him a $50 bill, and the sheriff says, I don't have change for that. He says, that's all right, keep it. I'll be coming back through in a couple of hours.
Arguably the pride of Joe's collection are 50 authenticated signed balls, including 9 by players who were inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame.
The black ribbons mark an individual that passed away. And of the collection of 50 individually signed baseballs, 48 of them have passed away. There are only 2 alive today, Willie Mays being one of them.
For Joe, each ball tells a story, like Don Newcombe and Roy Campanella, who both are believed to be the first professional baseball players to integrate pro baseball as members of the Nashua Dodgers in 1946, their likeness still adorning Holman Stadium. But before they set foot in New Hampshire, Brooklyn Dodgers owner Branch Rickey met resistance from other owners who warned of race riots if teams hosted an integrated roster.
And as a result, they started looking around, and somebody made the mention, you know, when the black ball players play up in Canada, particularly in the French-speaking areas of Quebec, etc., they're treated great. There is no racial prejudice. So their theory was, let's start looking for a place that has a great amount of French-speaking people and Franco-Americans. Bingo, Nashua, New Hampshire.
A progressive league, it also featured the first women to ever play professional baseball, including the first female pitcher, Mammy Peanut Johnson.
She was pitching one day, and I guess she threw a ball by this batter who was a real good batter, and he stepped out of the box and he says, you know, you're not going to be able to play in this league. You're nothing but a peanut. And that's how she picked her name up. Of course, she struck him out.
Some baseballs are notable for what athletes accomplished away from the diamond, like Zach Clayton, who following his playing days joined the Harlem Globetrotters and later refereed the Rumble in the Jungle title fight between Muhammad Ali and George Foreman.
I have one signed by Charlie Pride, who just recently passed away. Charlie Pride, known as a country and western singer, but he also played baseball.
Yet for all of the baseballs, cards, and posters, Joe's most treasured item can be found in a plastic sleeve.
I read your letter with great interest as it detailed a very challenging time in our nation's history.
Jackie Robinson passed in 1972, but 65 years after Joe penned a request to Robinson, he received a response from Jackie's wife, Rachel.
Thank you for your kind words and for taking the time out to write. I'm sorry that we did not reply to you when you first wrote some 60 years ago, but I am delighted that you didn't give up. Best wishes, Rachel Robinson.
Joe is uncertain about the future of his lifelong collection, but one thing is for certain.
You're obviously taking offers on this collection. What's going to happen to that letter, though?
This letter will not be part of the collection. It's too... I have a granddaughter that will get this letter.